Discussions in this show are for entertainment and educational purposes only and should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer and member of FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and neither SmartPro Financial nor Bridgeway Wealth are affiliated. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Working Wealth Podcast. Appreciate you joining us today. We have an incredible guest with us in the studio, Mr. David Bass, the COO of Daniel Builders, based out of the upstate South Carolina area. Unique story or unique connection we have is we actually use Daniel Builders to do some work on our house in the past year, doing some renovation work. And honestly, the timing was perfect with the hurricane, to fix some things that happened during some hurricane damage we experienced with Helene. But wanted to have David to come in and talk about the company, Daniel Builders, and just everything we got to experience from a incredible process and just customer service and customer-centric focus of how you guys operate. So welcome to the studio, and tell us a little bit about yourself, David, and what brought you to Daniel Builders to start off.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. You're right. The timing couldn't have been more perfect for your project because I believe you and Haley signed into our build, and then not more than 2 weeks later, Helene happened. And I remember you texting and calling me on, I think it was a Saturday morning, and over the weekend, and being like, our house just got hit by 2 trees.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a wild experience for you guys, super unsettling. And we met the next week and like assessed the damage, and you're like, hey, we still want to do this thing. And we're like, okay, this is probably not a better time than right now.
The way we've looked at that from every perspective is just God's ordination of the timing of everything.
Yeah.
We were already planning to be out of the house. We had an Airbnb lined up. All those things just worked out great. And I think the way you guys handled that and responded with the circumstances definitely made us feel very valued and cared for.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I've been with Daniel Builders for a little over 17 years now. This is my career. We're a comprehensive custom home remodeler in the upstate of South Carolina. We are very client focused, as you mentioned. I started from the ground up. Like, we started in 2007, and I was a carpenter. I decided after pursuing a post-baccalaureate degree in architecture at Clemson that I was very quickly not going to be an architect. Married my wife while we were at Clemson, and came down and just kind of continued pursuing the construction background that I'd had in high school and earlier on in college. And ultimately, my wife started as an elementary school teacher in Anderson, South Carolina. I got a job at Daniel Builders, and Bob and Daniel, who are our co-owners, are just phenomenal guys, and I've never wanted to be anywhere else, and slowly worked up through the ranks, and now currently COO.
That's incredible. So I did not know this about you. So you actually pursued an architecture degree.
Yes.
At Clemson. Did you finish out the degree and then decide, or did you decide part of the way through?
No, so I majored in undergrad in political science because I thought I wanted to be a lawyer first.
Okay,
and then I decided I didn't want to do that, Patrick.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
I got into the program at Clemson, and it's a great program, but definitely just through the Lord's guiding, and also just I think just assessing fit, decided that wasn't where I needed to be either, and finally settled just within construction, within this industry that we're in now.
Gotcha. So you've been at Daniel Builders specifically for about 17 years.
That's right, since early 2008.
So and the company was started in 2007. What an incredible time to start a home remodeling company in 2007.
Yeah. Well, we didn't actually start out as a home remodeler. Funny enough, like, we actually had. You're talking about God's providence. Like, we had in front of us the thought to start building spec homes, and becoming the next custom builder in the upstate of South Carolina. And we're just incredibly fortunate that we hadn't gotten all that stuff out the door yet, because it was definitely an unsettling time in our industry. Throughout it all, though, I felt very fortunate, to still have a job, because the bottom did really fall out. And through a few years of grappling, just really pretty much accepting everything, we actually kind of found out what we're good at. And it's, building custom remodeling designs and actually implementing them in the field. That's what we're good at. We don't really actually have a strong interest in pursuing custom home building. You can't throw a rock in the upstate without hitting a custom home builder in the forehead. It's an incredibly saturated market, in my opinion. So this is where we are, and this is where we're happy. We have plans of, increased growth. We don't want to stop growing, but it's definitely within the confines of that arena.
I'm curious, we could take this a lot of different directions, but just thinking about that comment specifically is knowing where you do your best work and wanting to grow inside those confines. Do you see any challenges, or has there been any challenges or friction in the past of wanting to go out and try different things and then having to come back and realize, okay, no, that's us getting outside of our bounds? I see that with a lot of businesses. They get really, really good at one thing, and they do exceptionally well. They have incredible growth. And then maybe they say, well, hey, there's a shiny object over here that sounds really, really fun. And me as a business owner, I'm susceptible to it as well. I've definitely gone down that path a few times, trying to toy with things and try things out. But ultimately have the realization or circumstances that lead us back to, well, hey, let's just really focus in this lane that we're really, really good at. So I'm curious for you guys, over the years, have y'all had those situations that have come up?
We have. I think, I would like to say, and this will be a controversial statement for other builders, but I would like to say that what we do effectively is a little more difficult than what, someone building a standard house is doing, because ultimately you're not just working with a client on building something that doesn't exist. You're working on an emotional level with them within their holy of holies, so to speak, right? You're in their house. You're tearing it out before their eyes. There are pencil marks on door frames where their kids have grown up, right? And so you're connecting with them on an emotional level. It's my opinion, if we can do that, then we actually are fine to enter the custom home market. Like, that's actually just building something that doesn't exist at all, as opposed to working on top of other builders who have come in before us that may or may not have done it correctly. I think if we can do this, we can do anything. But I think one of the things that's really important about Daniel Builders is our growth mindset. We're not looking to double our size next year. We definitely are growing, but we've grown organically, and we want to continue that organic growth. So we start something new. We're going to start small. We're just going to wade in the waters. We've built homes before, and we'll do them again. But we're not going to take the next step into, becoming the next upstate custom home builder without testing it multiple 10s, 20 times to make sure it works. But yes, we'll try anything.
One of the things I hear you say during, as you're describing that flow, is there's more process behind it, right?
Yes,
I feel like it is very much a thing. Even when we were looking for a company to come in and help us with our renovation project, because we were originally going to build on some land we owned and decided not opportune at the time. And we pivoted to go to, how do we make our home more livable, more enjoyable, more suited for the stage of life we're in, right? And give us that flexibility for the potential options down the road. And I remember when we first reached out and talking with other companies as well, one of the big things that stood out to us, relating it back to what you're saying here, is just process. And having a system or having a process of, we're going to do this and we're going to follow this flow because this is what works. And this is the thing that yields the results we're looking for. and understanding that the process itself will weed out maybe some of those ideas, like probably not going to get into building barn doors next week,
No.
right?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Right.
There's companies that do that really, really well, right?
That's correct.
But, having that process to refine or decide, well, where are we going? How are we going to proceed here? Are we working with the right people, the wrong people, those kind of things? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. And if I were to refine what I said earlier, we're not looking to start building barn doors, but I think if I were to refine it a little bit, I would say we're seeking to enter into relationships with our clients, and so if they perceive a value surrounding the client experience and the relationship and the partnership that we offer, then we might be willing to build a barn door. We're not necessarily going to, mass market that and say we're the next barn door builder in the upstate. But so the same thing goes with custom homes. We built custom homes, and we'll do it again. But it's going to be with the client that likely has already used us, likely already understands our value, what we have to offer, right? So we're entering into that partnership together with that understanding, which is that's what we're looking for. We don't want to just mass produce, right? We want there to be that partnership. We want to be able to offer an experience to our clients. But to your note on process, we've got some strongly process-driven people. Andy is one of them that you met. And we could tell from the get-go that you and Haley, that's something that you guys are strong in and strive for within your business. And so, very much when we first met with you guys, wanted to, custom tailor to your needs, right? We don't necessarily offer designs for everybody that comes in the door. Sometimes people already have a design, and we don't want to weed those people out. We still have a product to offer them. It's just, it wasn't the same that, you and Haley had, though. You guys were looking like, hey, we need some floor plans. We need to understand what we're doing with this space. We maybe need 2 to 3 iterations. We're going to need help, fine-tuning selections, like what's this color palette going to look like? And then ultimately you wanted to partner with someone that could actually perform the project as well. And I think it worked out.
Yeah, it definitely did. I would say so. That's an interesting point that you made, is getting to know your customer and then be able to tailor the process to them. Because we did the same thing in financial planning. Is not everybody knows exactly what retirement needs to look like or their business exit needs to look like. In fact, most people, I would say, don't know what that looks like because you've never done it before, right? and we've helped hundreds of people retire. You should only have to do it one time and land that plane safely on time, ideally early if you can. With all your luggage there, kind of thing. Connecting that back to the way you guys tailor that process, we try to do that as well. As well, if we need to start more foundational, fundamental, where are we actually going? We want to take time to figure that out, and that was one of the things I think stood out to us from the get. Was I think Haley might have submitted an inquiry on the website on a Saturday afternoon. And we got a call or a text within an hour or two. Not saying that's a standard, like everybody should expect that, but for us, that really stood out as, hey, somebody's paying attention to who's reaching out. Somebody's paying attention to what kind of interest are we looking for. Setting good expectations of, hey, here's kind of our ranges. Here's the kind of work we do. Those kind of things. But then taking that into the first interactions, at our home. It wasn't just a screening phone call to say, hey, what's your budget and see you later. It was, well, let's talk about what you're looking for. Like what kind of change or lifestyle or environment are you wanting to live in when this project is completed? And I think that did stand out to us specifically, which was you guys wanting to know who we are versus just, hey, where can we slap some 2x4s and sheetrock together? Which is the way a lot of people operate. Yeah. And we experience that from other people.
Yeah, no, very much so. I'm glad you said that. That's meaningful to me, and I know that my team will enjoy hearing that because that's what we're striving to do. we're striving to come alongside people and help them achieve their dreams. And it's not a small task, right? Because we don't have anything to offer you when you call us other than to be a listening ear and to help you figure it out and come alongside. Because with custom remodeling, literally every job is different. So I can't even show you. I mean, I guess I might be able to reach into the depths of our photo archive and show you something we've done that maybe was similar to what you and Haley wanted. But even still, it's just a photo, right? So how do you get somebody to come alongside for that kind of ride when you have nothing to show for it until literally you're tearing their house apart?
Right.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same with you guys, I imagine. Like, you're getting people to sign on, like, hey, come with us, let's land this plane. But you don't have a whole lot to show them in the beginning. You have to show them along the way, right? You have to, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. So we're very much, we're trying to do that with the people that call in, fully recognizing that it is one of the most expensive purchases they're going to make. It's not to be taken lightly. The folks that are coming in as our clients are putting an incredible amount of trust in us. Just, it's unbelievable, really.
I think that connects back with, I don't know if this is your tagline or if it's the actual core values, but I know every email and with your logo, it says building trust, right? Can you talk more just about how that fits into company culture and how you guys approach that?
Yeah. Well, it starts with our owners. Daniel and Bob have, I mean, I wouldn't be who I am without them. I don't have a business degree. All right. My business degree is working with those guys for 17 years. And that's just something that they have just emphasized time and time again, not just in going through the rote memorization of it, like at company meetings, but truly applying it on a daily basis, because we're not perfect, right? But you don't hold trust by being perfect. I mean, I guess you can, but no one is, right?
Right. Yeah.
You hold trust by what you do when you're not perfect, and how you carry yourself, how you carry your business, and so, I mean, literally everybody that comes into Daniel Builders, we talk about what our expectations are for our clients. It's not just our clients. It's what our expectations are when working with our trade partners. It's what our expectations are when we're working with our employees. And it's what our expectations are when our employees are working with each other. And we're going to do that, like, first and foremost, just by being honest with one another. And honesty is hard sometimes. It's super easy when things are going well, but it's really tough to give difficult news or to have difficult conversations, but it's imperative. We don't always do it, but we want to always be accused of over-communicating. Like, hey, man, you're communicating too much, as opposed to the alternative, especially within our construction industry, of, I really would like to hear from you this week.
Right. Yeah.
Really would appreciate a call back.
Which is oftentimes the norm,
Right.
Is just this lack of communication, or my contractor ghosted me, or my sub didn't show up when he said he was going to show up. Like, I feel like I hear that from a lot of other folks in the construction industry. Is just, that's the norm.
Yeah.
That's the standard, and the bar is essentially on the floor.
Yeah. Automatically, we are up against the reputation of, our industry, and it's not stellar. So we're automatically coming into your door, and every door that we cross, every threshold we cross, having to kind of try to, up our game and beat that reputation. But getting back into, like, the aspects of trust, we want to make sure we're meeting people where they are and meeting them on an empathetic level. That's important. We're not working in some facility somewhere completely. That's one of the things about being a home builder. You're working on a job site, but no one's living there. It's a little bit different when, like, someone is either A, living in the house, or B, wanting to get back into the house and wondering what's happening. We're up against holidays and birthday parties and babies being born. Congratulations,
Yeah.
by the way, number
Thanks.
2. Um, so there's so many things that that we're up against in that, but meeting people where they are and meeting people empathetically is important. And finally, just being committed to their project is how we build trust, and we do that to the tune of losing money sometimes, and that's okay because our goal is our client satisfaction, and we believe doing that kind of business ultimately is what's going to lead us to greater success. It's not just cheating someone out of a dime. You know what I mean? It's finishing well. It's finishing strongly. It's finishing ultimately to their satisfaction.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good phrase that you hear sometimes come up, which is finishing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And that can have a lot of meaning depending on who's saying it, what their perspective is, those kind of things. To me, finishing well it goes back to character.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of who's watching, regardless of if all the details are known, am I doing the right thing to where I know, like me, my identity, my values, my core beliefs, those are being upheld first and foremost.
Yeah.
Presuming that mine are going to be the standard, they're like the higher tier. Like I'm going to make sure I'm doing right by people regardless of what everybody else is doing. And I can just say from experience, that's definitely something that comes out through the process and something we experience personally through the project. But I do find a lot of times, though, that comparing again to building a brand new home on a job site versus coming into someone's home and doing a renovation and you're ripping it all out, and that door frame or that threshold is in a dumpster in the front yard, right? Like that is an emotional tie.
Yeah.
And it'd be a lot easier for someone to come in who's building on virgin ground straight up to maybe hide things,
right?
To cut corners, to not do things the right way or not do things. Maybe it's per code, but it's just still not the best quality.
Right.
Those kind of things versus doing the renovation project. I think that is exponentially more difficult.
I would say so.
And I would relate it to financial planning for us is
how so?
It is so much easier for me to start with someone from scratch and teach them and coach them the right ways from my perspective of here's what has worked for thousands of years to build wealth.
Right.
Right. Buy and own appreciating assets. You can only do that if you have margin in your life. Mm-hmm. Everything else is supplemental to that. Right. Mm-hmm. It's so much easier to start fresh versus having to fix bad habits or try to coach people on spending or coach people on, well, hey, there's some major tax consequences to this decision. Or, yeah, you probably shouldn't keep spending $15,000 a month when you only have $100,000 saved for retirement and you want to retire next year, right? Like, those are real problems.
And that the principle that you're stating is pretty universal. You can apply it to just about anything, definitely remodeling. But I think like even you can apply it to the people you choose, right? There are a lot of great people out there, and you can, like, for in the instance of lead carpenters, like we've adopted a strategy that we would much rather hire somebody that's young and energetic with no bad habits than hire someone that's been in the industry for 30 years that we have to try to retrain. And ultimately it's led to us having to really dig in with these people on, like, a carpenter assistant and a mid-level carpenter level, and seek to, train them in the way we want them to go. And it's quite the investment of time and energy to do that. But that ultimately is, I think, what's, reaps the greatest dividends for us as a team and as a company, like staying with those folks, helping them pursue their careers, has been a real key to success for us. And I think that, I see that too with your business.
And I think one of the hardest parts of that is maintaining culture, right? It's a lot easier to pick out when you're bringing someone in that does have 20 or 30 years of experience that maybe has bad habits. And that's always our perspective, right? Not saying they're bad people, just they have ways of doing things. They don't want to assimilate, that kind of thing. We talk about that in Smart Pro. Our company is a me versus a we mentality. Like if I always refer to a Smart Pro as, oh, those guys are Smart Pro, well, just by me saying it that way says I'm not really on the team.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say, hey, we as a unit,
Right.
we're doing this, we're focused on this. We had a challenge last week where, I'm on our senior leadership team, not an owner, but in leadership with the company. Right. And I was talking with my team here in Greenville, and I said, hey, we can spread blame however we want to. The reality is it's on us as leadership for not doing the due diligence ahead of time to figure out what could happen, and now we're having to deal with the consequences. Like, that is on us. That's not people in a different office somewhere else in the country. That is us as a unit. Should have done our homework, should have had better communication, better clarity, those kind of things, to set that culture of we're owning this and we're going to make sure we have the right process, the right conversations, et cetera, in place to make sure we can maintain the culture we want. And I might be rabbit trailing here.
There's a word for that. I think is accountability the word for that.
That's a good word.
Okay.
I would say so. Yeah. But like, go back to the point of, it's so much more, I think it's simpler and it's also more rewarding to train someone up in a culture than to bring someone in that could create a fragment and create a wedge.
Yep.
And that's also one of the hardest things. Like me in my office, we're still on the front end of hiring people and bringing more people into our team to work on my personal business. And that's been something we've had some experience with, learning the hard way is if you hire too late or you hire rushed, you might still have good people, but it might not be the right fit.
Right.
And maybe it's not a direct culture conflict, but it is something that over time you start to see some cracks and you start to see maybe there's not as much engagement here. There's not as much focus on the end user, the end product. So I'm curious for you guys as you've grown the team and maybe even thinking about some strategic growth or organic growth in the next few years.
Right.
How important is that for y'all as you're trying to help more customers and to create those client experiences? Like, what are you focusing on as you're growing from a culture perspective?
Yeah, great questions. And I think it's something that is universal for all businesses. We're all asking the same questions there. For Daniel Builders, we're definitely looking to invest in people. I don't want to be one stop along a bumpy road of resumes. You're here with us for 1.5 years. We've had that the construction industry is really transient. I think everybody knows that. People don't stick around for very long. But part of the reason I found that people don't want to stick around for very long is that it's the reputation you spoke of earlier, the construction industry. Like, people get treated poorly. There is no team culture, right? There is no company culture, no core values, nothing they have to get a hold of. Everyone just kind of feels like they're working for someone else who wants to make a buck, one of the things, our leadership team as well, we read books, and we latched on to, probably about 8 or 10 years ago, Patrick Lencioni and Humble, Hungry, Smart, right? And is it right there?
Yeah, okay. Team player.
I did not.
I didn't even plan that.
I did not see
that book.
Right. But it's a great book. It's such an easy, small little read, but so much insight and wisdom there. Obviously, one of the components that is kind of an unspoken thing is you have to be competent in what you do. So we're looking for competency, but humility and hunger and emotional intelligence is super important. And sometimes we do make decisions if we perceive the person as competent, not necessarily trained in the area we want them to go, but we see they're competent, then they're capable of learning. We would actually much rather, hire someone like that exhibits those other attributes, and is not necessarily like maybe we could hire somebody as a project manager that's got 25 years of, project management experience, but it's always a little bit of, it's always a gamble sometimes, right? Because you never know exactly what you're going to get, and you can see some red flags here or there. Should I hire them? I don't know. Really need somebody now, and that now is it kind of takes the front seat to your decisions sometimes. But we found the better play for us is just hire quality, energetic young people that really want to find a home for themselves. and to try to foster that along the way. Like for the longest time, every one of our project managers had been like 4 other positions in our companies. Like we had a couple of guys, like every project manager we had up until most recently, with Jeff's hire,
Yeah.
actually was a lead carpenter before. And so we felt like it was a great step for them to come in and kind of cut their teeth, learn about the business. They had, construction experience, but we were bringing them in at a level where, it was obviously a level that we needed, but it was also a level where we could assess those other fundamental traits we're looking for, like the humility, the hunger, the people smarts. And so we want to promote from within whenever possible. I mean, sometimes we always joke there are positions in our company that we're going to need next year. We don't even know they exist right now. And that's fine. It's really hard to plan for those positions. But I guarantee you, if we have the opportunity, it's going to be with somebody internally first. And then we'll hopefully try to hire more folks to come in like at the lower levels and kind of that constant progression upwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because that allows you to really test them out in a way, right? Before putting too much responsibility, too much authority on someone's shoulders is, hey, come in and learn how we operate, learn our processes.
Right.
My first job out of college was actually at EasyGo down in Augusta, Georgia, and I was a mechanical engineer down there. And part of my original onboarding and training was I had to go work the line for a couple shifts. And one of those shifts was a day shift, which in the Augusta heat in summer was fantastic in a non-air conditioned warehouse, right? And one was a night shift.
Right.
And I actually really enjoyed that because that gave me an opportunity to appreciate the other aspects of the business. And like most people have ridden a golf cart these days. Like most people in the developed world have probably ridden or seen a golf cart. Like it's pretty basic. It's pretty fundamental kind of stuff here. They're not a lot of design goes into them.
Right.
There's a little bit, but it's not as complicated as it seems. Cost is pretty low to get sold for a lot of money these days. It's pretty impressive. But the end user knows what the experience should be, but getting to see everything that is involved in getting that product brought to market and the people involved and getting to hear their stories and understand the why behind it, the why behind what they have going on and what they want to accomplish in their lives. Like that's what matters. And I think it's the same like for you guys when you're hiring is you want someone to come in and have a career path.
No, absolutely.
Right? It's not just I'm here to nail some boards or rip out some drywall, right? Yeah. Like even in our project, we got to meet some of those younger guys that came in and I can't remember who it was, but we had a barn door hanging in our room, going to our bathroom. And we're like, well, it's just going to go in a dumpster. Take it if you want it, right? They got to impact their life.
It's true.
And his family. And that to me, that matters is the bigger impact you have in business instead of just coming in and getting a paycheck, like you said.
Absolutely. And you're not going to be able to do that at all levels all the time. And like there certainly, there's room for all types. We really do try to find places for people that really do want to stay. And I think that those people, the people that stick around are the people that recognize like the team culture that we offer here and the ability to, the career path.
And how would you say that has played out into the finished product for people over time? We've kind of touched on and danced around it a little bit, but just having people aligned to that bigger mission, that bigger focus of customer first, we're working together as a team, we're communicating even when it's uncomfortable or difficult. In my mind, that always leads to a better end result for the customer. But I'm curious how you guys view that or how you take that and maybe assess situations when they do come up. Like, what does that look like internally?
Well, certainly just like any company, everybody has a job to do. I think, for our build teams, they're obviously, it seems like they're coming in on the front end for a guy like you, but oftentimes they feel like they're coming in on the back end because the client's expectations have already been set. The project has already been designed. And most of the mistakes that are going to happen maybe have already been made because oftentimes, you hear the constant gripe with like build teams and architects. Like, I can't believe you designed this way. And, what were they thinking?
Yeah, right.
And so they're constantly up against like set expectations that pre-existed them, and that's hard, right? Because they didn't set the expectations, but they're tasked at every opportunity to meet those expectations. But I think it starts again, like I said, relationally. Like one of our models that's a little bit different is we have a lot of internal employees that you mentioned, our lead carpenters, our carpenters assistants. There aren't a lot of remodeling companies in the upstate or even the nation for that matter that have that exact model. It's not to say that they don't have guys they pay to stick around on a mostly full-time basis, 1099, but no, like these folks are our employees. A lot of them have stuck with us for a really long period of time, and they are a large part of our on-site eyes and ears. Like, even though we have project managers, like Chris on your project, I think you mentioned multiple times, was like a huge help to you guys.
Oh yeah.
And he was like a relational tether, right? And he's able to see if something was wrong and be someone that's there to try to deal with it in the moment, right? And if he couldn't deal with it in the moment, at least he could like alert the project manager or make a list and like get a plan of action together for the next day or the next week, as opposed to like no one being there, or somebody that's a trade contractor that doesn't really care anything about any other aspect of the project. They just want to, put paint on the walls and go back to another job.
Get their paycheck.
Right. So, but,
yeah.
I think like guys like Chris, and, you mentioned some other names, those guys, are our lifeline, right? They're the guys that really propel the projects further along, and ultimately push them all the way to the finish line. They're day one when we're tearing stuff apart. They're there the last day of the project, like making sure outlet plates are on and making sure that there are no nail pops anywhere in the on the drywall and stuff like that. I mean, they're there throughout. So I would really say that meeting those expectations day one of build to the end is on that build team to do. I don't know if that answers your question or not. I got off on a rabbit trail.
No, I think it's good. It's a good rabbit. We're gonna chase that one. Yeah. I think that just again speaks to the culture side and having the right team and having the right environment for people to operate within. Because I mean, everybody knows, every small business owner knows, and even in corporate, if you're an employee somewhere, you know that if you feel valued, you feel cared for, you feel like you actually matter, and the work you're doing matters, then that will show up in the results. And a lot of times that result is, if it's not good, people leave all the time. They don't show up. Or God forbid, they do show up and they just do a really bad job. Right. They just do shoddy work. Right. And I think that that's where a lot of times, just again, speaking to the culture that you guys have built over the past 18 years, I think that stands out above the rest, because the quality of work that gets done, and not just saying the actual paint on the walls and the floorboards being put in right and that kind of stuff, but the quality of the experience that gets laid out overall, despite challenges that come up. Every project has challenges, right? Every single thing has challenges in life. But despite that, the end result of that customer satisfaction, the trust that gets built, that stands out above the rest because of what's happening internally to drive that overflowing from the internal, if that makes sense.
It does.
I forget where the verse is, but there's a verse of, out of the heart flows, I'm going to butcher this. What's in your heart flows out of your mouth, essentially. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
I got to look up that verse now. But the same kind of thing, right? Like what's inside will show up on the results on the outside over time.
For sure. We have, another kind of team mantra we have that I think helps propel our final project or final product to the finish line is, if anyone calls asking a question, if our lead carpenter asks a project manager a question, or if our project manager asks our design team a question, or if our design team has to ask our sales guy a question, ultimately, I think a lot of people could perceive like a question for, with like, if they're receiving a question in a certain work environment, questions can sometimes actually be perceived with some difficulty, like almost like, oh, you're asking this question, so did I drop a ball? Did I not do something right that is leading you this question? Is there some toxicity here? But we want everybody within our company, within Daniel Builders, to adopt a like, how can I help mindset. It doesn't matter how the ball got dropped, or even if the ball got dropped. Maybe there's no ball, but if you have a question, our team is here to answer it. And everybody within any given project that is involved in the project stays involved. Maybe not to the nth most degree, but if a lead carpenter says like, I need to call the design team is going to be available to them. We utilize some process-driven software like Builder Trend, where we keep every jot and tittle of project information that is at the fingertips of everybody in our company. So anybody who needs to answer a question about any project can look there, including the newly hired carpenter assistant. It doesn't matter. There's like my goal is to make this a company where, it's okay to ask questions, but hopefully like 95% of the answers are literally on your smartphone, so that you know how to direct people on site and how things should go.
Yeah. Everybody has equal access and in a way equal responsibility to that end result.
And we also, we want to share wins equally across the board. Daniel and Bob have done a phenomenal job over the years. Profit sharing, we want people to share in that win, right? They've been incredibly open book, and it doesn't matter if it's a carpenter's assistant or someone who's worked there 17 years. We all see how every project does. We see its general profitability. We see if we've met revenue goals, and that happens on a quarterly basis for all of our internal staff. But then project forensics happen on every single project, whether it's a $1.5 million project or a $10,000 project. Those forensics happen where people can see and assess, hey, what did we do right on this project? What did we do really poorly? What can we learn? And it's really neat to see that. I think that's actually where a lot of the buy-in comes from as well. People, I think, oftentimes have come when they've come into Daniel Builders from working in other areas of, construction fields where they don't have any buy-in. They weren't really allowed to have buy-in. They didn't really understand how the company was doing. Their boss just told them to show up at 7:00 and do X, Y, and Z and go home. And if it rained, they didn't have work the next day. But that's not the way we want to do business. And that's not the way we want to inspire people.
I think one other thing, just as we're kind of coming to a close, this stands out to me there is, you mentioned in the forensics, is it's not just where do we do poorly, it's also what do we do really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of convicting for me, is it's so easy in business, is like there's a ton of things going right all the time.
Right.
But it's the things that go wrong that stand out the most. And taking the time to intentionally say, hey, where are we excelling? And give some recommendations, some kudos. Say, hey, this person did really, really well. This person communicated very well with that client. Or, hey, we got that transfer executed properly, like in our business. I think that's probably part of that missing piece where most people get disenfranchised.
It is. We call it our Philippians 4:8 time. What's, whatever is excellent, whatever is worthy of praise. Think about these things, right? I think there's 7 of them, and I always butcher the order and how many of them there are, but whatever is worthy of praise. And we want to definitely spend time doing that, because there's a lot of things we do right. And people need to know that. It can't just always be about, look at this one thing here. Right. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, just as we come to a close, is there anything else about, the company, where you guys are going, things y'all really do right, do well all the time that you'd want to share with people?
We have a growth mindset. Our owners want to grow, but we want to grow slowly and strategically. We're always looking for new ways to break into a bigger market share in the upstate of South Carolina. I don't think right now we have our eye on expanding beyond that region, but we truly do yearn to give the people we work for an amazing client experience. And outside of that, I'm not sure what the boundaries are. We have a commercial division now that has existed for about 4 years, but is picking up some steam right now. Still mostly, mostly office upfits and church additions and stuff like that. But we are capturing more traction in that arena as well. So we're excited for the future.
That's great. And how can people find you guys if they're interested in talking about a project or, joining the team? Like, what's the best way people can get in touch?
Well, the best way they can get in touch is calling our company line first and foremost. Obviously, our website. I think you mentioned that you and Haley went to danielbuilders.com and just filled out a project form on there. If people are interested about learning more about us, there's also every social media. I don't know which ones we're on, but we're on some.
Gotcha.
And we've got a podcast as well called Ready, Set, Renovate that's accessible, and also a blog that they can subscribe to if they're interested.
Okay, perfect. And where can people find the blog and the podcast?
Both of them are attached to our website, but you can also just search Daniel Builders Ready, Set, Renovate on YouTube and find it.
Perfect. Okay. I didn't even know you guys had one, so I'll just take a look at that.
You're our next guest.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, David. It's been a pleasure having you on, getting to talk through, just really a lot of key concepts around business and culture and people. I highly recommend anybody who's watching, if you have a project that you're working on or you're interested in, reach out to them, see if they can help out. And other than that, appreciate your time, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me.
Discussions in this show are for entertainment and educational purposes only and should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer and member of FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and neither SmartPro Financial nor Bridgeway Wealth are affiliated.